Welcome to CinePro, where we bring your favorite movies back to life with quick recaps, hidden details, and everything you missed. The movie starts with Jo Yeon, whose car breaks down. She pulls over to the side of the road and calls her fiancé, who works as a police officer, to inform him that she is called for a tow truck. While on the phone, a man driving a minibus, typically used to transport children to school, notices her. He pulls over, gets out of his vehicle, and offers to help her. She's still on the phone with her fiancé and tells him that someone has offered to help her change the tire. Her fiancé advises her to wait for the tow truck instead. She thanks the man and tells him she will wait for the tow truck. He agrees and returns to his vehicle, which is parked in front of hers, but he doesn't drive away. When she turns on her car lights, she sees him standing in front of her car holding a brick. He smashes the car window and manages to get inside. She tries to escape, but he grabs her and hits her with a hammer until she bleeds from her head and loses consciousness. He drags her out of the car and up a hill. He then takes her to his garage, chains her hands with iron chains, and her engagement ring falls off in the process. He then approaches her with a cleaver. She begs him not to harm her because she is pregnant, but he coldly and violently dismembers her body with the cleaver. After dismembering her, he places her remains in a box and washes the blood off the floor. Her engagement ring falls into the water drain. Later, a young boy finds a black bag, and upon opening it, he discovers a human ear. That same night, the area is filled with police officers, forensic experts, and journalists. The police search the area where the boy found the bag. Jo Yeon's father, who was a former police chief, arrives at the scene, devastated, asking about his daughter. The officers try to keep him away from the crime scene. Meanwhile, Jo Yeon's fiancée, Soo-hyun, arrives in his car and is in shock at what he sees. Suddenly, one of the officers searching the area finds something round in the water that resembles a head. He calls the other officers and forensic experts. They place the head in a box, but due to the crowd pushing each other, the box falls, and the head rolls onto the ground. Her father runs towards it like a madman, while Soo-hyun looks around in shock and then breaks down crying. At Jo Yeon's funeral, her friends mourn her. After everyone leaves, Soo-hyun stays behind, devastated, and apologizes to her for not keeping his promise to protect her. He vows to make the person who did this to her suffer a fate worse than hers. Soo-hyun takes a 2-week leave from work. A friend of his, who works with him, gives him a tracking device in the form of a small capsule. Soo-hyun then visits Jo Yeon's father and takes 4 files of suspects who were previously involved in cases of kidnapping and assault similar to what happened to Jo Yeon. He starts with the first suspect, beats him up, shows him Jo Yeon's car, and asks if he was the one who did it. When the suspect denies it, Soo-hyun continues to beat him. The next morning, Soo-hyun hits the second suspect with his car while the suspect is riding a motorcycle. The suspect falls to the ground, and Soo-hyun gets out of his car and beats him up. That same night, a girl is standing alone at a bus stop in an isolated area. Jo Gang, the minibus driver, offers her a ride. At first, she refuses, but eventually, she agrees. Of course, he kills her by hitting her on the head with an iron pipe. The next morning, Soo-hyun visits Jo Gang's parents. Pretending to be from an insurance company, he learns that Jo Gang has an insurance policy and asks them for his address, but they don't know where he lives. His father refuses to talk about him, saying that Jo Gang abandoned them since birth and that he might know where his son lives. Soo-hyun finds Jo Gang's son and asks him for his father's address. When Soo-hyun arrives at the address, he searches the house and finds a locked metal cabinet. He breaks the lock and opens it, discovering women's clothes, shoes, and bags. He also finds a door leading to the garage, where he sees bloodstains on the floor. He notices something shiny in the water drain, retrieves it, and finds Jo Yeon's engagement ring. He breaks down crying. Meanwhile, Jo Gang is driving a group of girls from a tutoring center to their homes. After dropping them off, only one girl remains. He takes her to a secluded area resembling a greenhouse. At the same time, the police discover from their investigation that Jo Gang is the one who killed the police chief's daughter. The police question the director of the tutoring center about Jo Gang. She tells them he just left with the girls. They call him, but he doesn't answer. Jo Gang takes the last girl to the greenhouse and ties her up. Soo-hyun tracks him down and confronts him, asking, "Who are you?" "Jo Gang." He beats him up and breaks his arm. Soo-hyun picks up a large rock, intending to crush Jo Gang's head, but hesitates at the last moment. Instead, he forces Jo Gang to swallow the tracking capsule. When Jo Gang regains consciousness, he finds an envelope with money next to him. He takes the money and leaves the greenhouse. He abandons his minibus and hails a taxi. Coincidentally, the taxi driver and passenger turn out to be thieves who had stolen the taxi. Jo Gang kills them instead and finds the original taxi driver tied up in the trunk, already dead. He disposes of the bodies and washes his face in a lake before driving off in the taxi. Soo-hyun continues to track Jo Gang using the device. Jo Gang goes to a small clinic to treat his wounds. He flirts with the nurse. Later, when the nurse enters the treatment room, she finds Jo Gang trying to assault her. Soo-hyun arrives just in time and beats Jo Gang severely. Jo Gang screams, asking Soo-hyun why he is doing this. Soo-hyun stabs Jo Gang's leg with a scalpel, cutting his tendon. He then leaves him in a distant place. Jo Gang later visits a friend who kills women. He also stores their bodies in a large freezer and eats them. Then he turns to Geo Jang and says, "The figure chasing you is because you killed a woman, and he is enjoying chasing you like a predator." Afterward, he tells him, "You have a lot of rooms. Choose one of them." Soo-hyun overhears them and starts cursing at both of them. Later, the human flesh eater goes to the fridge to look for human intestines to eat. In doing so, he opens a dark piece, and a head covered and chained with iron comes out, and he drags it behind him. When he takes it to cut it up with the seasonings he likes, he finds the seasoning is finished, so he goes to get more. And when he turns to finish off the girl, he finds Soo-hyun behind him. He stands and hits him, stabbing a screwdriver into his hand to pin it to the table, ties him up, and hears noise. He takes a shotgun from his friend's cart and loads a bullet into it for Soo-hyun. Soo-hyun manages to escape to the upper floor and frees his friend. Afterward, Soo-hyun sees Geo Jang's shadow rising and tells him he's loading a bullet into the ceiling. Soo-hyun hits him with an iron rod on the head and then takes him in his car. The next day, the police arrive at the house of the man who eats humans and rescue him and his wife, taking them to the hospital. Soo-hyun goes to the hospital and meets his colleague, who asks him about the tracking capsule he gave him and says, "How's it going with you?" Soo-hyun makes sure the unconscious criminal next to them doesn't hear anything, but unfortunately, he is only pretending to be unconscious and hears everything they say. He remembers when Soo-hyun forced him to swallow something, and later when he wakes up, he finds himself lying in a tunnel in the street. Later, he goes to a pharmacy, steals a laxative, and kills the pharmacist. Afterward, he goes to a public restroom, and he managed to retrieve the capsule. After cleaning it, he attacks someone entering the restroom and puts the capsule in his mouth. Soo-hyun keeps following him until the signal stabilizes at the restroom. He stands in the middle of the street shouting, "Where are you?" Then he goes to the hospital to the man who eats humans and wakes him up, asking him where his friend went. The man laughs and says, "Every time he gets defeated, he comes back much stronger than before. And now he's at your family's house, killing them." Soo-hyun jumps on him and grabs his mouth and opens it wide until his skin tears. Geo Jang steals a car and finds a phone inside. He calls the police and tells them, "I'll do something firstly and then I'll come to you and surrender myself." Geo Jang goes to Soo-hyun's father's house, stabs him with a knife, and then hits him with an iron statue on the head. When Soo-hyun's fiancée's friend comes to visit her father, he kills her too. When Soo-hyun sees the scene, he gets even more enraged, but his father holds his hand weakly as if to console him. Geo Jang goes to the place where he told the police he would surrender. The police officers are waiting, along with Soo-hyun. Geo Jang gets out of the car he was driving in the middle of the street, holding a knife covered in blood, his body drenched in blood as well. He raises his hands calmly in the middle of the street, and as the officers approach him, Soo-hyun manages to snatch him in his car. He takes him to the garage where he lives, ties him to the guillotine where he used to separate the heads of his victims from their bodies, and sits taunting him. Strangely, Soo-hyun's eyes fill with tears despite himself, especially when the criminal says, "You've already lost, whether you leave me alive or kill me." Soo-hyun replies, "I won't kill you until I see fear in your eyes." Soo-hyun ties the garage door to the guillotine with a rope, places the other end of the rope on Geo Jang, puts the track in. Geo Jang puts the tracking capsule beside him, locks the door, and leaves. At the same moment, Geo Jang's son, father, and mother arrive, and when they hear the sound, they try to open the door. As soon as they open it, the guillotine cuts off Geo Jang's head, and his mother starts screaming. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun removes his headphones, sits down, cries, and laughs at the same time in a very emotional scene. And that's how today's story ends. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all new updates. See you in the next video.